All right. So now let's talk about loss. Okay. So loss is covered by section 129 to 139. Okay. And just like when we discuss ordinary insurance, okay, so it is during the loss wherein the insurer's liability or the insurer will become liable. Okay. Now, section 129 to 139 are specific to marine insurance. So under this section, loss may be partial or may be total. Okay. So what is partial loss? Partial loss is when the loss is not total, and when is it total loss. So total loss is when the loss is not partial. So parang nakakaloko yung mga definition, right? So but that is how it was mentioned in section 129 and 130. Okay? So dalawang loss, either partial or total. Okay? So kung hindi siya total, partial siya. Kung hindi siya partial, di total siya. Right? And insofar as total loss is concerned, okay, total loss may be actual or constructive. Okay, so as the term implies, talaga, right? Totoong nawala. Totoong may total actual loss. And this is actually mentioned in the law as when the ship is totally destroyed, or when the ship has become irretrievable loss. Okay? So, hindi na ma-retrieve, okay? Such as lumubog na, okay? Or nasira totally, right? Such that the ship can no longer be recovered, or when the ship has become valueless, okay? Or when the owner of the ship was totally deprived of the possession of the ship. Na-capture na ng either foreign government or ng mga pirates, okay? Such that hindi na talaga makuha yung ship na yan. So those are the instances of actual total loss. Okay? Now, what about constructive total loss? Right? So as the term implies, there is total loss, but not actual total loss, only constructive. Okay, so this is what is known as the 3/4 rule. Okay, so this is actually section 141. Okay, so when 3/4 the value of the ship, okay, or 3/4 of the value has been lost, or the value of the ship has been reduced to the extent of more than 3/4. Okay, if the amount to complete the voyage, okay, would be more than 3/4 of the value of the ship, okay, or insofar as the cargo is concerned, okay, the voyage will not be completed without the risk, okay, or the expense or risk mentioned amounting to 3/4 of the value of the cargo. Okay, so those are the instances when there is constructive loss. Now, do you still recall when is the loss partial? Okay, di ba we said that loss is partial when it is not total. But look at this, okay? So yung 3/4 rule. In short, may natitira pang 1/4, right? So in reality, the loss is not actual, okay? Not total loss, right? But Okay, but under this condition, okay, under section 141, when these conditions occur, okay, so from partial, okay, kasi 3/4 lang naman yung nawala, so may remainder pang 1/4. So this is still partial, right? But the insured may make this partial loss total. Okay? May make this partial loss total. And how? By abandoning. Okay? By abandoning whatever is left of the ship or the cargo. Okay? So I think that is important to mention at this point. Okay, so loss may be partial or total. Total may be actual or constructive, but the concept of constructive total loss is when the loss that is supposedly partial, okay, the law allows the insured to make it total. Right? And what is, of course, the relevance of this? Okay, instead of recovering only up to the 3/4 value of the ship or the cargo, the owner of the ship or the cargo or the insured may recover the total amount. Okay, so ano nga yung prinsipyo dito? Again, contract of insurance is a contract of indemnity. Right? So we mentioned several exceptions, right? Life insurance. Okay, I hope you can still recall our discussion why life insurance is not a contract of indemnity, and this example again. Okay, the example of yung yung constructive total loss, and earlier we discussed yung sue and labor provision. Okay, so there are certain exceptions to this. Okay, now what is the presumption? Okay, so this is section 134. Okay, this section created a presumption that in case there's continued absence of the ship, and the ship is not being heard of. Okay, so wala nang balita kung ano nangyari sa ship. Okay, so kung saan napunta, wala nang makasabi. So the presumption is that there is actual loss already. Okay, there is actual loss already. Okay, now in case there is actual total loss. Okay, in case of actual total loss, not constructive total loss, okay, the insured is now entitled to the payment. Section 138 emphasized that the insured is entitled to payment even without notice of abandonment. Okay? Without notice of abandonment. Okay? So, kailan magpi-figure yung abandonment na yan? Okay? So, so that this will figure when there is constructive total loss. Okay? So, we will discuss this, right? But in the meantime, let us discuss this average. Okay? What is average? Okay, so average, this is the term used to describe the expense. Okay, so this is the expense for the preservation of the vessel and or the cargo. Okay, so average may be particular or it may be general. Okay, so particular average, this will inure only, in other words, the expense to preserve the expense for the preservation uh, was only for the specific cargoes. Okay, so particular average, it did not or does not inure to the common benefit. Okay, so it only benefited specific owners and not all. General average, however, inures, okay, inures to the common benefit. So all were benefited, and because all were benefited, therefore the expense will be borne by all. Right? And when the average is particular, therefore the expense should be borne only by the party that is benefited. And why is this important? What is the importance of this? Now, it is relevant to insurance in such a way as who will now be responsible, or when, what is the insurance company that will be liable eventually. So let's say, for example, the average is particular. So the owners of the goods were A, B, C, D, etc., etc., and only A's cargoes were benefited. Okay, so supposing that yung kargamento lang ni A, yung mga delikado sa water, okay, ma-water damage, okay, so yung kay B, C, and D cargoes are not averse to water, so preservations made to preserve the cargoes of A will be benefit only A. And if there are expenses made, okay, A must therefore reimburse. And if A will therefore reimburse, ano mangyari? A will be liable. At ano nga yung subject matter ng insurance? Loss, damage, or liability. Such that if the insurance will pay for this liability, then that will be the implication why we are discussing this average, either particular or general. And when the preservation would benefit all, A, B, C, D, and E, therefore all their insurance companies will be liable, right? Pro rata. Okay, so that's the discussion insofar as average is concerned. Now let's go back to abandonment. Okay, so abandonment, this is section 140 to 157. So what is abandonment? This is an act. Okay, this is an act of the insured, not the insurer. Okay, this is the act of the insured that will relinquish or relinquishing his or her insurable interest to the insurance company or to the underwriter. Okay, such that whatever is the salvage value of the thing insured will now belong to the insurance company because the insured has already abandoned or relinquished whatever his or her or its interest on the thing insured. Okay, now there are restrictions. Okay, but before we go into the restrictions, let us just remind ourselves ano ba yung benefit? Okay? What is the benefit of abandoning? The benefit of abandoning is, diba, yung we mentioned earlier, from partial, this can be made total. Okay? Instead na 3/4 lang yung mare-recover ng insured, it can recover 100% of the proceeds. Okay? But this is not without restrictions. Okay? Now the restrictions is, let's say, number one, the there must be constructive total loss. Okay, so insofar as this particular restriction is concerned, there are at least two questions in the bar exam that I came across with. Okay, about a question. Let's say, for example, example lang ito. These are not the actual question, but just to illustrate the point. Let's say, for example, the value of the ship is 100 million pesos. Okay? Para madaling i-divide sa 4. Right? Tapos ang amount ng average lang, okay, or amount ng loss lang is, let's say, 10 million. And the question was there constructive total loss? Therefore, the answer is no, there is no constructive total loss because this will not amount to more than 3/4 of the value of the ship. Now, in relation to this, let's say, for example, we are given a question wherein the facts would given to us would be the ship is worth 100 million. Okay? And amount ng loss ay 10 million, or the amount needed to preserve, or the amount needed to complete the voyage is 10 million, and the insured abandoned, okay, the ship, yeah, because of the loss. The question now is, was the abandonment correct in this case? Then the answer should be no, the abandonment is not correct in this case because the amount of the loss, the amount of damage, or etc., right? Yung instances of constructive total loss does not amount to more than 3/4 of the value of the ship. Okay, so that is how yung usual questions on this particular restriction was made. Okay. Now, another restriction is that the abandonment must not be partial nor conditional. In short, the abandonment must be absolute. Right? Such that pag binigyan tayo ng question that, let's say, the ship owner abandoned, the loss was 3/4 or more than 3/4, but there was a condition. So abandon, the ship owner says that they are abandoning the ship subject to the condition that etc., etc., then that is not a valid abandonment. Okay? And then, important, that there must be notice of abandonment. Okay? This notice may be done orally or in writing, but when the notice was done orally, it must be confirmed in writing within 7 days. Okay? But there must be notice, and in relation to that, right? So when the loss is actual total loss, then there is no need, right? No need for notice of abandonment. Okay? So, i-apply lang natin ito kapag constructive total loss. And finally, number 4, the abandonment must be explicit. Okay? It must be explicit, and it must be based on facts, okay, that are available or existing at the time. Okay. Now, can the abandonment be annulled? Okay. So, pwede ba yon? Okay. That once the insured made abandon tapos nagbago ng isip, pwede ba yun? Well, the law says pwede naman, but there must be consent. The insurer must consent to it. Okay, remember the requirement is that the abandonment must not be partial nor conditional, but it can be subject to mutual consent of the insurer or both of the parties. Okay, so in other words, yung irrevocable yung abandonment unless the insurer will consent to it. Right? Now, let's go now to measure. Okay? Busa na pala ako ng sagot dito. Okay? So, measure of indemnity. Okay? So, this is section 158 to 168. So, this actually discussed the average, okay? What are the how much can the insurer recover? Okay, so yung discussion as to when the policy is open, when is it, what if the policy is valued? Okay, so these are all covered by this particular portion, okay, of the law. Right? So these are the important discussions insofar as marine insurance is concerned. Okay? And we go now to other kinds of insurance with beginning with fire insurance.